Now, let's try to understand this a little bit differently. This letter is from me. Well, where's our verb? Is from me. Well, that's going to be genitive. From is a lot like of. This letter is from me. Now, it's kind of a little equative verb. This letter equals something from me. So this letter, that's our subject, and it's in the nominative case. This letter is from me. Now this letter is from me to you. So here we have this letter. There's our subject, which is of course nominative. The letter is, I didn't circle my verb first. Shame on me. It's from me to you. Well, that's genitive. That weird little way of writing ends where we go down first and scribble and write it is sort of a funny thing. From me to you. Well, to you, the letter is going to you. So that's accusative. That's our direct object. The letter is to you. From me, that's not object talk here. That's a modifier. This letter is to you. We could theoretically say that. Now here we have my letter. Well, wait a minute here. My letter, in a sense, we could treat it as an adjective. It's a possessive. We could look at it that way because it modifies. We could say the big letter, the tall letter, my letter. It's a modifier. Letter is the subject. This is nominative. But here we have my letter. Well, that's our genitive. So this is kind of a genitive, nominative subject. Makes things interesting. We could talk about that more in English, but the important thing is to see the case. Possessive is my, the letter of me. It's my letter for you. Well, boy, for, that can be accusative or dative. It could be either one. We can say accusative or we can say dative. It depends. We're using an equative verb here. It's for you. Now, probably it's more of a direct object, but it depends on how we want to think about it. English teachers could talk about this for quite a while. It's good when we use all these different basic shapes to help us talk about these things. Here, my letter. I got to circle the verb first. Quick circle it. Good. My letter for you is in the mail. In the mail. Well, in, that's dative talk. For you, that could be dative, but probably more accusative. My letter, well, that's our subject. Nominative. My, that's genitive. It's kind of a modifier. There's a lot we could talk about here. What's an object? How does all this work out? If we underline and box and use our basic shapes, it's easier to talk about these differences. My letter is in the mail. It's kind of like a modifier. It's why I'm doing both. That's genitive. Now, does it mean that I own the letter? Oh, circle the verb. Does it mean that I own the letter, or does it mean that I wrote the letter? If I say that's my mother or she is my mother, does that mean I own her? If I say that's my church or that's my country, does that mean I own the country? Well, not necessarily. It doesn't mean I own the church. It's just the one that relates to me. It's the letter relating to me. I could say it's my letter. Here's our subject. That's genitive. This is nominative. In the mail, preposition with the noun. And again, in, that's dative talk because it's about location. We could say it's an object, but I don't want to get into that. That's for that's for English class discussion. That's for talking. The important thing is to see the basic shapes and how that works with the case. It's in the mail. Dative says where it is. We may not know what an object or subject is, or we could debate it, or we could learn that and study that in class. The important thing is to see the case first. Genitive, nominative, dative, accusative. And vocative is just when I say, hey, you, or John, would you please sit down? Well, John is vocative. We're not going to look at vocative. We don't need to do that. Well, I could actually make this vocative. Let's make it vocative. We're going to vocative. John, my letter is in the mail. And now John is vocative. Your letter is in the mail. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's that? Ooh, circle the verb first. What's this all about? Your letter? I thought it was my letter. Well, this is genitive. It's just talking about what the letter is. In this case, or in this situation, which is what case actually means, it's genitive. We're talking about what it is made of. This is a subject, nominative. That's what everything's about. In the mail, well, that's just the same. And I could easily add a vocative here. John, your letter is in the mail. Now look at this. My letter is in the mail. Your letter is in the mail. Is it my letter or your letter? Well, it depends on what we mean. We could say it's my letter for you, or we could say it's your letter.